There is an indefinable, mysterious power that pervades everything.
That power that can make a way out of no way.
Today, in the world, there's so much suffering because of that one of prayer.
To the main event.
Welcome, everybody, to the Prayer Revolution. So glad to be with you. My name is Doyal. I'm here with my good friend Vira, and we're here to say your daily morning prayer. It's your daily morning prayer podcast, and we say a prayer, and we discuss that mood of prayer in our daily life. That's what we do. We say a prayer and take it from there. That's our motto. How you doing, Vira?
Doing great. I'm just appreciating Pat's background. You know, a lot of times you get these digital backgrounds on Zoom.
Oh my gosh, Pat.
That is not a digital background. She's on the beach. You go, girl.
Good job, Pat. I got to come visit your place.
Yeah. Doing good, Doyle. Super grateful to be here this morning, and yeah, been having a very interesting and new experience to life. And
what's that?
And you know, I thought I could maybe tell you guys, or maybe not. You know, just kind of throwing it out there.
Oh, okay. I don't think anyone's interested.
Okay.
No, come on.
Well, you know, in I'll try to say it in as few words as possible before we pray. And let's see. Yeah, that I've been going through my life, and I have been avoiding myself in different ways. And I think we've all had different experiences in our life that that were intense, that were challenging, and maybe didn't fully process them. And they become, in yoga, they call them samskars. They can become like these, you know, like almost like our consciousness is singed with these impressions. And we feel them. They're under the surface of everything we do, of everything we think. They're the foundation. They can become that in our life. And going through my life, yeah, really afraid to feel those things. Really, you know, just that if I was to allow myself to feel, you know, whatever it was, whether it was anger or sadness or, you know, loneliness or whatever that may be, that I will be stuck there forever. If I allow for myself to, you know, and it's something we've talked about so often. And one thing is, you know, I'm talking about it intellectually right now. And, you know, one thing is to talk about it, and the other is to have an experience of it. That, you know, when Krishna says that he is everything, you know, and speaks about it in later chapters of Bhagavad-gita, he's talking about despair, sadness, loneliness, fear. He's talking about all those things. None of those are divorced. And so I've spent a lot of my life really afraid to feel those feelings. And therefore, they kind of basically, you know, I've done good to cope with it. I've done a good job in life. Like, I haven't been a total nut job for the, you know, at least the later part of this last 10, 15 years of my life. Before that, I was a little bit wild, very selfish, very wild. But I've been chipping away at it. But still with, you know, like with the coping mechanism of not really feeling those feelings, not really allowing myself to go there, not really going inside and healing, and, you know, allowing for Krishna to come into those different parts, the dark parts, the dark parts of my heart, the closed closet doors that, you know, I locked the doors and threw the key away to, didn't even know I did. And through counsel, through mentorship, through receiving love and guidance, you know, from Radhanath Swami, from different teachers and friends, just recently been able to you know, start tapping into that. And it's like living life with like a whole nother level of feeling and tenderness, actually. I'm like, oh my God, like those feelings that I used to be so afraid of, it's exact same feeling. It's like, where I'd be like, uh-oh, I'm feeling that feeling, like this Mayday, we're going down, you know, like maybe this is going to be I'm going to go into a little funk. Maybe that cloud isn't going to leave for a while, you know, because so afraid to feel it or to give it space. I'm so afraid of it that it controls my experience. It becomes the foundation of my experience, trying to avoid it, the avoidance of it in my mind. And so, getting support to be able to process and experience is allowing for me to invite what feels like much more of my whole self to life, much more of my, a wholesome experience of life where I could feel those feelings. And actually, they're there all the time. They're there for every person. All different types of feelings are there inside the heart. We've had so many experiences. So it's, it was flashing through my mind last night. So many experiences. I was just going back. I was just like, hey, let's go visit little Vira. Let's go visit my 5-year-old self. Go say hi. See if he'll say hi back. See if we could have a little conversation. And just going into my past and going into those experiences, I could see like, oh my God, not just negative things, pleasurable experiences, such joyful experiences, but so many impressions. There were like these lucid impressions that were just flashing in my consciousness of all these different experiences that I've gone through my life. And so many of them undigested, so many of them, not integrated, not synthesized, and not processed fully. And so feeling the last few days, somehow or other, Krishna's given a blessing. I've really been praying to go into that, go deeper internally, go deeper inside, knowing that my experience of life is dependent upon the quality of my internal world, my internal experience. And really praying to Krishna. He's been bringing some challenging tests and experiences, and ultimately just incredibly healing and liberating to be able to start to, feel that sadness or feel the anger or feel the whatever it is without judgment, to feel it, to experience it, and for it to just become like a part of me. It's not controlling me. It's not running my life. It's not sending me down into funks, but like, oh yeah, that feeling that I was so afraid of. Oh yeah, that's part of me. It's, maybe it's not my pure spirit, but that's a part of this experience in this life that can actually help me to feel more deeply and help me to connect with Krishna more deeply, help me to be more present with God and present in my life. And because I'm not avoiding feeling, I'm actually able to be in my experience so much more. So that is
Beautiful.
yeah.
So beautiful.
I pray we all get to feel that. I pray that it's basically like if we're not kind of in a semi-rapturous, say, whatever, if we're not feeling that like rapturous presence, there's something that we're avoiding. It's pretty wild, right? Like we're pure spirit souls, that okay, we sit down and pray, we sit down and really go deep. We can start to experience a rapturous state of presence. It's not a far away thing. A little sincerity and practice. And my life, I've avoided that so much out of the fear of what's in those closets and the fear of the not wanting to feel that pain or be stuck in that again. So feeling a little, somehow Krishna's given a little liberation, given a little experience to see that, it's okay to feel that. And actually it's so empowering and so life-giving. It's like, oh my God, all that stuff's inside of there. Oh, okay, great. Like, let's feel it, as opposed to it just, being a wave that comes and crushes me every now and then. Let's actually feel it. Let's integrate it.
Yeah. There's this a book I started reading a little while ago. Was given to me as a gift. It was one of those serendipitous moments I had where somebody gave me this book a long time ago, and it was about trauma, and it was about overcoming trauma that gets stored in the body. And I just kind of like, it was one of those. I put it aside, and then I was going through therapy and through a period of my life, and I was sitting in a therapist's office, and she was talking about the principles that I remember hearing in this book, and about trauma and like releasing it, and kind of like very much what you're saying. And I remember thinking of this book. I was like, oh, I wonder if she's heard of this book. And as I was thinking that, I looked over her shoulder onto a bookshelf, and this book would just like popped out, like there was like a spotlight on, like the same book was there. I was like, you know that book? She's like, yes, I had training with this person. And she pulled the book off the shelf, and that's when I started reading it. And the whole premise of it is that trauma, this word trauma, because he's a trauma recovery specialist, is
Comes
that
from the root word Rama. No, I'm just kidding.
Rama, lack of Rama. But it's not as much what happens to us, but it's the failure. I hesitate to word failure, but like it's the failure to let what happened to us process through us. And rather than it processing through us, it gets stuck and we hold on to it, and then it never releases. It just never releases, and therefore we kind of go back into it. I mean, that's the definition in one sense of the word resentment. Resentment, the etymology of the word resentment, re-sentiment, to re-feel, to keep going back. So if I'm having a conversation again and again with the same person in my head imaginarily, like that's resentment. If I'm continuing to feel the same hurt or the same feeling again and again and again that's linked to something in my past, that's a form of resentment. We think resentment is like, oh, I hate somebody, or resentment is when I'm stuck in a cycle of continuously, like as you were saying, to feel re-sentiment, to re-feel again and again, because we haven't gone back and let it pass out of us. And animals naturally, mammals have this system of, we see I have a dog, he shakes off his nerves, you know what I mean? And they physically shake off their nerves. But human beings, we learn it, big boys don't cry, and I'll give you something to cry about, and toughen up and get over it. And, there's people starving in the world. Your problems aren't so big. And so we learn to or even more so as kids, we learn sometimes we think, must be my fault. Must be something wrong with me. We can all these things. And so we learn to we freeze, and then we hold all these things in us. And then, because also it's so interesting that as human beings, we have a pain threshold, where when we can't handle a certain amount of pain, we shut off, or physically we'll go unconscious. And so as younger human beings, we hit these pain thresholds, sometimes emotional or mental or psychological, and we shut down because we just don't have the faculties to handle it. But as adults, we do, but we haven't realized that yet.
Yeah.
We haven't realized that yet. As an adult, I actually have the faculty to have that. Like you're saying, it's like this, it's painful, it's scary, but it's also liberating, because, oh, I've been walking around thinking that I am, you know what I mean? It's kind of like as it's coming to my mind, like Siegfried and Freud. You ever heard of them? So what is it? What are they called? Siegfried and Roy? Not Sigmund, not Sigmund Freud, but Siegfried and Roy or whatever. They were these tiger trainers. I'm getting their names wrong. Barbara's like mouthing it to me. She's like, "Don't botch it, Doyle." You know what I mean? It's like they're these tiger trainers, and they're controlling these tigers. And at a certain point, the tigers realize, "The hell are we doing? Like, we're bigger and stronger than these people." And one of them just attacked him. I think he mauled him. I don't know if he died or not, but it was like that was the end of that road show, But it was like sometimes we realize, like, wait a second, like I'm stronger than I think. I can take care of myself as an adult now, and I could face these feelings. That my fear, my anxiety, my insecurity, my loneliness, my all that stuff. Like as an adult, I have the ability. Robert wrote it, Siegfried and Roy. Thank you. Siegfried and Roy. And I was like, okay, I'm getting her. She's like, he needs help.
Your diff and Sig. What?
And so what I'm hearing, it is very liberating when we realize, wow, I have a story. I don't know if I think I might have told you this story before, Vera, relating to what you said, and I also I don't know if I've told the story here before, but I remember one of my earliest, if not one of my earliest childhood memories. I must have been 3 or less than 3, because my mother and father lived in the house
Mm.
and divorced when I was 3. So I must have been 3 or younger. And I woke up in the middle of the night and I was feeling scared. And I remember calling out. So we were in a hallway, my door was open. I'm calling out to my mother and father who were across the hall in their room. And my mother called me into the room, said, "Come be with us." And so I got out of bed. And it was dark. I was in my my onesies, pajamas, whatever it was, and I was toddlering over. I got to the door in the hallway, and my dad called back, and he was just kind of saying, it's okay, get over it, go back to bed, go back to bed. I remember my mom and dad kind of tussling a little bit, like, let him come in the bed. He was like, no, go back to bed. And I remember pausing in the hallway, feeling scared and feeling confused, not knowing where to go, what to do. And that's where the memory cuts off. That's where memory cuts off. And it came to me 30 years later, at the age of 30, at the age of 32, where I was having experiences in my life where I recognized I was at 3, and sometimes I feel like I'm still a 33, 35-year-old man standing in the hallway waiting for someone to just come and pick him up and say, I'm here with you and you're okay.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I still feel that way. It was that memory. And like, so much of healing comes from exactly what you're saying, is like, I can pick that little boy up. I can pick that guy up. And I can tell myself, like, I can do that. And not only am I alone, but like, as I grow spiritually, I recognize that Krishna is here with me and he
Mm-hmm.
provides that strength.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm just it's so beautiful to hear what you're sharing. And I'm so inspired and humbled by you. And I'm also very, very, yeah, I'm very, very, in a way, happy to hear that you're experiencing these amazing realizations, because they're very, very powerful. And you're already such a huge, heartfelt, evolved human being, and to hear you experience even continued growth is incredible. And so I'm inspired.
Oh man, me too. Yeah, I feel inspired. I feel so much. This sangha, this beautiful family that we come together every day and pray, that is supporting my journey so much. So I feel indebted. I feel grateful, and just to just reflecting on it, as I was like, wow. I was like, everything that I'm looking for, really, and this is Srila Prabhupada so often was saying, this is everything we're looking for, is by realizing the self, by realizing our true self, by realizing our true nature. And I was just getting getting that sense of, wow, like it's so hard for me to be with myself. Like okay, I can go into a meditation, or it's got to be like I got to still be kind of like doing something, like to be with myself is confronting at times. At times it can be quite confronting. And it's like, that's kind of like the objective. The objective is like to be with myself without the need to have to do something else or distract myself, like to be with my son. And I noticed that when I'm with him, I'm like, in the last week I was like, oh, what do I do now? Like, oh, we used to go into the forest, but now it's too hot, and too many mosquitoes in the forest. Like, now what do we do? And Deanna's like, you just be. And I was like, that's hard, like, and yeah, and like this last few days, it's like, oh my God, like all I want to do is be, it's like it's like, yeah, like there's so much I just want to be, like, I want to be with myself, knowing that God is within my heart, knowing that I'm there, knowing that that's the journey, that's what's happening. And that eventually, that's, we're seeing that revealed. We're seeing the example of great saints and teachers throughout history, to be with oneself, to be in union with God, to be with oneself in their spiritual nature, to be with oneself, in connection with God in that way. That's what we're all looking for. And so to be able, it's like, okay, like a route into that. Like we have this beautiful process of bhakti, of of practicing spiritual life, of plugging into pure spiritual energy to start cleansing the lenses, start cleansing all those impressions, right? The little boy in the hallway, whatever it is, right? All those challenging experiences that we face throughout our life, every one of us has had them. Every single person on this planet. At some point or another, if you haven't, it will come. That's just the nature of this world. There will be pain, there will be upheaval, there will be reversal. And how we're processing that, yeah, through practicing spiritual life, we start to clear those layers. And then also, like with that, I'm just finding such a helpful, like complementary practice is to go in and actually go into the garden, you know, to be in the garden, to be inside, and what weeds are growing, what is going on in there. Like if I'm not able to just be with myself, to just in a simple and humble way, if it's too uncomfortable to be with me, there's such a universe of transformation that's available to receive some support, counseling, coaching, mentorship from a teacher, from a guide, that God will provide that opportunity if we sincerely want to go within. If we're beckoning and we're calling out, my Lord, like I don't want to live a life of fear. I don't want to live a life on the surface. I want to live a life avoiding you and avoiding this experience. I want to be fully embodied. I want to fully experience my life. And I know that takes going inside. Help me to go inside. If that's our intention, that's our prayer, the help is always there. The help is always there in our life, providing those opportunities for transformation. And
Yeah. I love that you're mentioning like going into the garden. I was thinking like, historically in spiritual cultures around the world, when someone wanted to take a spiritual journey, they would say they would go into the forest.
mm,
And the idea was to really go and actually like
mm,
divorce myself from all the things I normally depend on and
mm,
place myself in, like give God an opportunity to show up in my life. And when we
mm,
look at our current modern lifestyles, it's kind of like we've created a bubble for ourselves, a shelter where we've removed ourselves so much from the admittance of our dependency on higher forces of nature. And you know it's like it's, you ever talk to somebody who kind of lives on a farm, or talk to somebody who lives out in nature, and like you ask them how they're doing, it's like, oh yeah, it's doing good, we got a lot of rain last week, which was really helpful, or it's been a little dry season, or yeah, the deer are really causing problems around here. They're kind of, they're so much in tune with just what's going on around them. But we live in a life where it's like, it's almost kind of like nothing affects my natural resources, or we think that, my the whatever the weather is, my food comes from the groceries. I've arranged my life in a way where my food, all my resources, I just pay my water bill and my gas bill and my electric bill, and I go to the store, get food. I don't even need to go to the store if I don't want to. I can just have it shipped directly to me, you know what I mean, from anywhere in the world, and so we've kind of like, we don't realize it, but that this style of living has divorced us from the the kind of living independence on higher forces of nature.
mhm,
you know I mean, we hear it sometimes, like tomato prices will spike. Well, why are the tomatoes so expensive? It's like, oh, there was some drought in Mexico, and so it was like,
mm,
oh, and we grumble and gripe. You know what I mean? But it was like, just going in the garden, you're just seeing. It's kind of like it awakens you to this sense of things happening beyond your sense of control and doing. You know what I mean? That I'm not just like controlling everything here. I am just a part of a much bigger mechanism of life,
mhm,
and I think that that's what nature does for us. And so, and that's what, like, so often people will take spiritual journeys. We'll go and spend time in India. We'll go to India for 2 weeks. You
mhm,
know what I mean? And even though they have all modern technologies, it's still, you still feel a sense of dependency. Who's
mhm,
have been to India? No. And so, or spending time in the garden, or going, it's like, wow, let me remove myself from from this ultra sense of self-reliance.
Mm-hmm.
And in New York City, I don't get much of that, but in Florida, I'm glad you get an opportunity or two.
Yeah, definitely. And I'm, just highly encouraging, if you're not fulfilled in any way in your life, or if you believe that, even if you're grateful and you want more, that it's an internal journey, that it's to take the time to go inside. And if you're already going inside, then to see how to refine that and how to go deeper, because it's unlimited. It's a well that continues to go deeper and deeper. It's a ocean that expands continuously, and the more we submerge ourselves in the process of spiritual life, we submerge ourselves in the grace of God. That's being with God, and there's so many ways to do that, so many simple practical ways to do that, to be with God and to be with ourselves, to be with ourselves. That you were saying, to go to the forest, right, Doyle? To go into the woods, right? They're the journeys, they're the rites of passage. And we look at the yogic journey. The yogic journey starts with brahmachari. It starts with this, living dependency on the guru, on the teacher, dependency on nature, living the most simple life. That there's nothing to distract oneself from oneself. There's nothing to. A brahmachari is faced with himself every single day, and to give ourselves that opportunity to pray for that, to have more and more that our spiritual life doesn't just stay on the surface, but that we feel more and more that we're taking steps deeper and deeper into our heart, and whatever needs reconciliation and healing, that we're calling out to God for that healing to help us to transform and to go deeper, becoming instruments and vessels of His grace. So, super grateful. We this is maybe the first time we have not started with the prayer, and
we didn't start with the prayer.
And but we let's end with a prayer. How about that, Dory? I don't know if there's any other thoughts that you were having, or if we could.
Nothing more important than a prayer.
Yeah, definitely. So we inverted it. So okay, let's close our eyes and let's take a few minutes to dive deep, to dive into this present moment, and to call God's presence into our life. He's always with us. Our Divine Mother is always with us. Our Father, our dearmost friend, our teacher, our guide, the most perfect being, is always with us, smiling, awaiting the opportunity to connect deeply in loving exchange. Setting your intention for what you want to bring into this day, into this prayer. What is it that you're seeking? My dear Lord, help us to become fully embodied. You've given us so many experiences in this life that are all for us. Every experience is meant to be transformational, meant to be something that helps us to connect more deeply with ourselves and more deeply with you. And due to forgetfulness, we don't experience that. We experience the pains and the difficulties, or even the pleasures and the joys, and we attach to them. And they become scars, wounds, traumas. They become impressions that somehow or other, they don't allow for us to experience our experience and let it be a reminder, let it be a catalyst of our relationship with you. Let it be a catalyst of allowing ourselves to see that we're untouched through every experience. That we're able to continue loving through every experience. That we have a limitless amount of energy through every challenge. We can show up in the present moment with you in our heart, with you in our consciousness, and to respond with love, to heal, to transform, and to become vessels of your love and your grace in this world. And please help us to feel deeply whatever it is that's taking place deep down in the recesses of our heart. Please help us to feel that and let that be a catalyst to connect deeply with our true self, Let it be a catalyst to bring us deeper into feeling your presence in our life. And in that beautiful state of presence, let us help uplift others. Let us help others to go on that journey within, to experience their true nature, and to bring that into the world in a functional, dynamic, synthesized, loving way. And we call out your names every single day to give us strength, to give us clarity, to help us to see your will in our life, and to give ourselves 100% to the experiences that you lay ahead of us on our path, to give ourselves completely to those experiences, trusting you're with us and that you're the orchestrator of our life, providing these transformative experiences. Let us live in rapture. Please give us that doorway that we can see where we're avoiding living in a deep state of rapture and presence, feeling your presence in our life every day. Please help us to see that doorway where we're neglecting our relationship with you, where we're forgetting you, where we're living life on the surface. Help us to see that door and give us the courage to walk through it into a life that is inspired in divine connection with you. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Thank you guys so much for your presence. Thank you for giving us the opportunity to be with you today, to pray with you, to come closer to our true self, come closer to our beloved Lord. So grateful for each of you.
Thank you, Vera, so much for being so real, for being so vulnerable, for being so courageous, for inspiring all of us. Very, very grateful. Today is episode 96. And so it begins our 5-day countdown to episode 100. We're getting there, episode 100. Episode 100 is scheduled to broadcast on Thursday, July 2nd. And to all our listeners, Thursday, July 2nd, our goal has been to get to episode 100. So at episode 100, we're gonna take a little pause on our prayer revolution. At that time, we're gonna assess how we want to move forward best into the future. We launched into a daily podcast in COVID. Like, let's just get on there and see what happens, and then let's do it every single day, and let's keep going. And we've been here every single day. It's actually already been 100 days because we've missed a few recordings. And so this is actually just 96th recording, but we've actually probably hit 100. So we'll probably be at 108 by the time we get there. And so, just the FYI, because we don't have any communication channels to our crews here. But maybe what we can do is between now and then, if you would like to be updated on our next step, what's going to happen after episode 100, write to us. You can write to either of us email, or you can write to prayerrevolution@bhakticenter.org, or you can write to info@bhakticenter.org, or you can write to Doyal at bhakticenter.org.
Keep it simple, Doyle. Keep it simple.
Or you can text Vira at, or you can mail him at his address at. But reach out to us and let us know, and we'd be happy to keep your contact and keep you updated on when we will restart or relaunch, or there you put it, prayerrevolution@bhakticenter.org. Keeping it simple. You can write to us, and we can keep like a little email group or WhatsApp group or something where we can keep you guys updated. But we have 4 more episodes, episode 100. So we look forward to seeing you for each of those. And we have all of them recorded and available for revisiting on our podcast platforms. And thank you all so much. Love you, Vera.
Love you guys. Super grateful to be with you. Look forward to our prayer tomorrow.
Yeah. All right. Take care, everybody.
Hare Krishna.